Unsyndicated presents Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian.
Hey, what is going on? He is Shep. I am Sean. I hope you enjoyed Memorial Day and took a moment or seven to remember why we have Memorial Day, to be sure. A nice day off for a lot of people. I know some people had to work, Shep, but hopefully you had an enjoyable day with your family, my friend.
I did, and I hope you did too, my friend. I assume you did. I know you have a tradition, which I think is pretty awesome.
Yes, Band of Brothers, absolutely love it. I don't. Was it Tom Brokaw that came up with that quote? Yeah. The greatest generation.
I think so. I know Tom Brokaw wrote a book similar to that. I think it was Flyboys, something along those lines. I don't know if he came up with the saying, but whoever it was, it's pretty apropos, don't you think?
Unbelievable. They're all freaks. And I say that in the best way you can use the word freak. They just, you think about that and you watch, a show like Band of Brothers. Happy Memorial Day to you as well, Tom. You think about Shep, whether it be your dad, your grandpa's, whatever the case may be, the things that they did at 19 years old. I was a 19-year-old who could barely wipe his own ass. You know what I mean? Right. It's unbelievable, man. It really is.
The interesting thing, Sean, I don't know if you had a chance to know either your grandfathers. I did not, unfortunately. I was too young when they both passed. My kids, unfortunately, have grown up without knowing their grandfathers because my father died at age 60 and my father-in-law died at age 55. But I was at a recent funeral and I was telling the grandkids how fortunate they are to have known their grandparent because it's such a great generation and you learn so much. And I hope a lot of kids are asking questions of their grandparents who lived during that generation. Like my mom grew up during the Depression, had to live with, I don't know, I think it was like 14 to 16 of her cousins. My father actually fudged his birth certificate. He was 17. He made it so he was 18 so he could go fight in World War II in the Pacific. I mean, who does that, right? I mean, nobody would do that. Not many people, I should say, would do that today. Anytime, it's funny, Sean, anytime my kids get stressed, they're like, I don't know, it's just really stressful. I said, can I remind you what stress really is? Let me tell you what stress is. And then I bring up the war. And I tell them stories all the time about how my father used to eat, powdered eggs, and he used to drink powdered milk. And that's him and my mom never, we couldn't leave anything on our plate, Sean. Had to eat it all, right? Because of that, those times that they experienced.
Yep. Shep, it really is. I mean, the stories are unbelievable. And I don't know. That's just something I've done for years since that came out on HBO. Gosh, I want to say it came out in 2001. And AMC kind of shows the marathon all day. So, yeah, no doubt about that. I had a feeling that might be something, Shep, that you would share some similar thoughts. But, hey, listen, it's great. I made some fantastic Angus burgers and hey, woo, look at Coney brats and all that. But obviously we want to be cognizant of why we have a day like this to be.
Yeah, sure. I hope people are. I mean, I really do. I mean, we used to do it during the Tigers broadcast. It was a really important day, really important thing to remember. It's not just for people getting together for barbecues. I mean, I hope people visit a cemetery. I hope people, if they have a chance to go to a parade, any way to honor those who have fallen to allow us to live in the greatest country on earth is pretty important.
No doubt about that. Tom said Carolina is done and will be golfing with the Maple Leafs tomorrow. Eric says, what's up, guy? Shep, Oilers Panthers rematch is loading right now. We're staring right down the barrel at it. It's unbelievable how those two teams just turn it on and seem to go to a different level. And again, I marvel at Stu Skinner. I just marvel at him. It looked like he lost his job, and here he is doing Stu Skinner things again. It's amazing.
I think it's the beauty of sports. I really do. I know people don't always like rematches unless it's their team, so I get it. But when you see the type of talent, look, you pinpointed Florida a long time ago, give you full props for that. The whole belief that, well, they wear you down, which they do, that they're not really exciting, which they are, is a joke. I mean, what have they scored? 5, 5, and 6 in the series so far, or 5, 6, and 6? I mean, they're scoring goals, man. I mean, they've got talented players. I love the way they play.
Love
It's easy, Sean. It's really easy for me to say that's how you want the Red Wings to play. It's not because they won the Stanley Cup. It's because you said 2 weeks ago they wear you down. They play a 200-foot game, and it may not be a game 1, it may not be in game 2, but by the time you reach game 4, 5, 6, 7, you feel like you've been through an absolute war.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Nick said, good evening, guys. Today is a day of remembering. I went to Great Lakes National Cemetery to visit my dad. Props to you. Props to your dad.
Yeah,
Eric, sorry, I know you've talked a bit about your injury, 6 weeks. I hope you get better. Florida is getting better, it seems, as it goes on. That's what they do. Hello, gents. I hope you had a good weekend. Chris, you the same. And Shep, nice to see the Tigers bounce back, because I think we were all sitting there on Saturday going, Cleveland has their number. It's been this way. You had a front row seat for it many times up in the booth. Cleveland just finds a way to beat the Tigers. Tremendous, epic pitching performance from Tarik Skubal, and they follow that up with a win today. And all of a sudden, we're all feeling a little bit better after a couple in a row.
Yeah, I don't worry about losing a series, or I don't even worry about losing a series to an in-division rival. I think Cleveland's good, man. I mean, there's some justification to losing once in a while. I know we don't always like it, we don't always accept it, but as I've said many a times, if you lose 60 games, it means you've won 102.
Right.
So you're going to have these, right? You're going to lose a series. I mean, you're going to be disappointed after a game or two. That's okay. I mean, everybody's dealing with it, right? The Dodgers got swept by the Angels, for crying out loud, Sean. The Phillies have been steamrolling their way through. I think people in Philadelphia are feeling a lot different about the Phillies. The fan bases that have to be the most concerned, Detroit is not among them. If you want to put Colorado in there, go ahead. You want to put Baltimore in there, go right ahead. You want to put Pittsburgh in there, go right ahead. Detroit's not it, okay? Just because you lose a series to Cleveland, and I would remind you lost the season series to Cleveland a year ago, doesn't mean that you're necessarily a worse team than Cleveland. Got a long way to go. Skubal was really good. Tanner Bybee was really good for Cleveland earlier in the series. We'll focus a lot on our guy, and for good reason. His first complete game. Let's just remind people, not to take anything away from him because he's the best pitcher in baseball, period. It's his first flipping career game, complete game. Okay.
Incredible.
So, I am not going to be the guy who jumps on this show or a radio show and says he's the best I've ever seen. Okay. He's the best lefty in the game, forgetting all the great left-handed pitchers of all time. So let's be careful and pump the brakes, but I'm glad he's on the Tigers. That's for sure.
Hey, let's talk about All About Catering. All About Catering LLC, full service caterer. Listen, graduation season is here. Wedding, bridal shower, corporate events, whatever you need catering for, from 25 to 4,000 people. All About Catering can and will take care of you. Customer service and satisfaction is their number one goal. Do not sweat your next big event. Just go to allaboutcateringllc.com today to see all their menus and all their 5-star reviews. Give them a call, 586-731-1398 to get your event started. As Tom pointed out, Shep, there's a little extra juice, pun intended, when a guy rears back and throws a 103-mile-an-hour fastball to end the game. It was awesome, and it's so funny that you brought up, comparing him to someone. I saw all the trying to compare him to Justin Verlander stuff, and I'm with you. Pump the brakes. That run that JV had was pretty special, man. There's no other way to deny that.
Yeah, we've seen some great pitchers in our time watching the Tigers. So, but Skubal's in the conversation. I don't think there's any question about that. I think the question now, what it begs is this, Sean. If a guy like Tarik Skubal, who's, as we've already said, one of the elite pitchers in all of baseball. Okay. If this is a guy who had never had a complete game before, and we all agree, I can't pinpoint exactly what game it might be, but I think it's fair to say, Sean, that all of us would agree that there's been a time in his career that makes you go, does he have a complete game in him right now? Okay. Especially when it's got stuff. But if there's a guy who throws 94 pitches in the game, 72 are for strikes, and the last pitch was at 102.6, does this warrant him the ability to go further in the near future? I sure hope so. The pitch count is one thing, but it does show you that a pitch 94, it's almost at 103 miles an hour. What are you taking him out for if he's throwing 95 or 96 pitches? That's the overall view. That's the 1,000 feet above earth view. I don't think that's the way AJ Hinch is going to go about it, because a lot depends on how a guy's going in a game. But when you're that lights out and you're missing that many bats and you don't walk people like him, and you still got that left in the tank, I think it's going to be a lot of people going, man, I would be keeping him in games deeper. Don't you think?
Oh, well, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
We have all these comparisons to the 84 team. They won 111, but came back down to earth during the second half. I mean, this is so premature to see where they go. I sort of start seeing what's happening after the All-Star break, not panicking. Yeah, Nick, I'm with 35-5. And Shep, I remember plain as day, they went to Seattle and got swept.
Correct.
Why I remember that? Because you know what? I was a little kid that said, oh, no, here it comes. And so did a lot of other people. It's not conceivable to keep that pace up. It just isn't.
No.
And, this Tiger team was off to a fantastic start. And yet here through what we thought was going to be a disastrous weekend. And I'm with you. Listen, you lose 3 or 4. It stinks. There's no doubt about it. But you still got a big bump in the division. Let's pump the brakes about how, quote unquote, here's that word again, Shep, great this team is.
Yeah.
I like what I see. I like so many variables from it. If they haven't made you a believer yet, I think that's your fault. But let's pump the brakes when we start throwing around the great word.
What I like about them, Sean, right now is I love that they have different guys elevating their games to help them win games. They're not relying on one guy. So Riley Green today with a couple of RBIs. Even Montero was good enough, right? Even though it was 5+ innings or 5 innings. It's been Baez before. It's been Torres before. It's been Carpenter before. It's been Torkelson. That's what a good team's supposed to be, right? But that doesn't mean that a good team is always being that. So that's the thing that I like most about it. It's different guys stepping into that spotlight at different times, and everybody's sharing in that wealth. And that's what's made them a really deep team. So pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it's a good team. It's a good team.
They're really good. Look, I mean, you can at some point. I don't know what that point is. That's up to so for example, somebody said here, I'm going to wait until Nick said wait till after the All-Star break. That's fine. I mean, that's Nick's prerogative. He has every right to feel that way. If you're looking at a 50-game sample and you're going to judge other teams, the Yankees, are they good? Are they good enough to win the East? Absolutely. The Phillies, one of the hottest teams in baseball. The Dodgers, absolutely. The Padres. We're judging a lot of teams right now. If you're going to do that, it's fair to judge your team. Just don't be – I just caution people to be too high and too low. That's all. If the players and the manager can keep that even keel, and trust me, they do. They're really good about that. Then we should be able to do that too.
Sean, you can't be serious. Skydog, about what?
What's that the reference to?
Yeah, I don't know what the reference is to. Sorry. Jim, I'm listening to the national anthem. Very proud of you. Nick said they started off 0-3 in LA, and yet here we are. And Tom, I'm just enjoying how well the Tigers are playing. Shep, that's where I'm at. I'm not
exactly the right attitude. Yeah,
that's where I'm at. I'm not going to pick, and I'm not going to. You know what? They're better than I thought. How's that? So I'm just sit back and go. Let's see what happens. Hey, if you're ready to take charge of your financial future, look no further than the Wealth Advantage Group. See those two guys, Mike Husak on the left, Jeff Husak, huge Oiler fan on the right. He's very, very happy. They are located in historic downtown Northville and owned by two brothers, those two guys right there, with over 20 years of industry experience. Your financial goals are as unique as you are, and that's why these guys offer personalized expert guidance to help navigate you through the complexities of financial planning. You're a young family. You're saving for college. You're saving for retirement. These guys have seen it all. They've helped people through it all, including my family, every step of your financial journey. They work with clients throughout all stages of life. They have clients in over 20 different states. The investment world is a complex one. So if you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, it might be time to work with the experts. These two guys are experts and they're great guys. Reach out to my friends at the Wealth Advantage Group at 248-773-8574. Check out their website at www.thewealthadv.com. Eric said, nice shirt, Shep. That is a nice shirt. Skydog, I have no idea what you're talking about. The team being better than the 84 team.
Sean never said that.
Nobody suggested that in any way, shape, or form. Right. I made reference
all you said was, I remember 35-5. They get swept by Seattle, and everybody said, "Oh my gosh, here we go." That's
here we go.
All apart. This team
no, right. Absolutely no comparison.
I mean, Sean would never do it. That's first of all, that's asinine. Sean, I hope nobody does that. That 84 team had, Parrish is an all-star, Morris is an all-star, Trammell is an all-star, Whitaker is an all-star, Lemon is an all-star, Darrell Evans, I believe, was an all-star. And I believe a little bit later, Dan Petrie was an all-star the next year, I believe. So, yeah, this team's not even close to that. And there's no reason to even bring that into it other than that's the last time this city was able to celebrate a world championship. And let's hope it comes sooner than, the next couple of years, because this town's been dying for it, that's for sure.
Yeah, Skydog, please don't. Yeah, that was never came out of my mouth, nor would it come out of my mouth. Well, I don't care what somebody else on another show said. When you come on here and say, Sean, you can't be serious, nothing like that came out of my mouth. So
what other show do you think that would be, bud?
He said, "Wake Up, Woodward." He said, "Wake up, Woodward," the morning show on Woodward Sports. So if that's what they said, that my guess is that somebody who didn't live through it. So how is that?
My guess would be that's somebody who probably doesn't know baseball that well, didn't live through it. I don't know who would have, and I'm going to take your word for it. Didn't live through it and is getting caught up in a moment. Okay, yeah. That's all it is. I mean, yeah. There's been, and this is no offense to this team whatsoever, okay? Because I like this team a lot, and I'm rooting for them heavy. Are they? I mean, just on paper and what you're seeing right now, are they as good as 2013 that lost in the ALCS but won 93 games? Do you think they're as good as 2011 that won 95 games, or 2006 that won 95 games? I mean, let's be careful, okay? This is not one particular person with you and I suggesting that. They're claiming somebody else had said it. But if that person did say it, then you probably should be watching or listening to something else.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Todd. You said the stat is that the 2005 Tigers had a better April than 84, but only by wins because the way the schedule has changed. Okay, I think it's silly when one team goes, Jason, hello, when one team goes 35-5. I mean, that's just you had to see it to believe it. Nick said, this is off topic. I'm interested to hear this answer, Shep, from you. This is off topic, but I'm liking events on Amazon Prime. The Coca-Cola 600 NASCAR race is an example. Great 2-hour post-game show. NFL is the same way, in my opinion. Nick brings up a point, Shep. If we want to watch games, you have to get YouTube television. You have to get Amazon. You have to get Netflix. This is the way it is, and the NFL is only going to increase in its regularity. We all better get used to it. So you can say all you want. You can kick and scream and cry and moan. I'm never going to get that shit. And you know what? Then you're never going to watch the Lions.
That's right.
That's right. The way it is.
Yeah. I mean, What's the Billy Bean line in Moneyball, or in this case, Brad Pitt? Adapt or die.
Yep.
And that's what's going to
Yep.
happen. If
Yep.
you want to watch it, you got to adapt.
Yeah.
If you want to hear it secondhand, or read about it on the internet, or read about it on your phone, or just watch clips, then stick with what you got.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
The coach said, what are your thoughts of signing Skubal long term? Hunter, I've said this for a long time. I have severe doubts. I would be surprised, especially knowing how this franchise has operated in the past. Shep, I would be very, very surprised. How's that?
How don't they? Let me ask you this first. Let me ask you. I'm glad he brought this up, because I don't think you and I have had this conversation. How important do you think it is for an owner / general manager / team president to appease the fan base?
I think whether fans want to admit it or not, because there's like a sense of entitlement there. I would hope that a general manager does not make any move to appease a fan base, but only strictly what he feels should improve the team.
Agreed 100%. 100%, and that's what's made Brad Holmes so successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. With that said, knowing how popular Skubal is, knowing that he's going to be an all-star again, he's going to be in the front line to win Cy Young, and he's going to be touted as one of the best pitchers in Tigers history, even though I wouldn't go that far just yet. And he's going to be a big reason why they're going to win this division if he stays healthy. How do you, as an owner and team president Scott Harris, not have the conversation? We've got to do this now. Mm-hmm. Because if we don't do this now, then you're going to have to make one of the most unpopular trades in the history of this city. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, you're going to have to explain to people why you're not signing him. Because self-evaluation, you and I have talked about this. Self-evaluation is really important. Okay. Know who you are, know what you've done, all those things. People view Chris Ilitch and the Tigers in what way, Sean?
Cheap.
Okay. Yeah.
You know it. I know it.
Very, very financially careful. Right?
Yeah.
That's how people view them, as an organization that is fiscally responsible. How's that? They're drawing more people. Okay. They're getting more headlines. They're starting to take notes. CBS Sports Network, CBSSports.com yesterday had or today had their power rankings. Detroit is number 2. They were at number 1 for 3 to 4 weeks or whatever it was. So my point is, you're seeing more and more people recognizing how good this team is. Skubal's in the center of it. You're going to do something about it. And if you don't do something about it soon, Sean, he's going to free agency, and he's going to ask for a number that every single baseball fan and writer feels like he deserves. And then you come up and say, I'm not doing that. Understand those long-term ramifications. Other organizations have had to deal with it. This organization has had to deal with it too. Have they learned their lesson? That's the question.
Well, here's the thing. If Zach Wheeler got $42 million a year, Scott Boras is smiling like the butcher's dog right now.
No doubt.
I mean that's where we're at.
Dude, look at Jacob deGrom. And Jacob deGrom was hurt. And look what he got from the Rangers.
Shep, you called Turnbull's no-hitter, right? You called Turnbull's no-hitter. Was that 21? Was that 21?
In Seattle, 21. Yep.
Yeah, because Skydog said the last Tiger to throw a complete game must have been too long ago. So I mean, I know Turnbull did. He had the no-hitter.
Yep.
You know, so other than that, I don't know the last Tiger to throw a complete game.
I can't think anybody good enough since then to do it.
Right. Allen brings up 5 years, $250 million. I don't think that's enough term for Scott Boras.
Agreed.
Shep, I really don't.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that's a hell of a contract. I personally, if I'm I wouldn't do that. If I'm the Tigers, I'm going to pay him $50 million a year to play every 5 games. No way. But if you're Scott Boras, you want a 10-year deal. You want an 8 to 10 year
I was
contract.
thinking 8. I was thinking 8, Shep. Like, honestly, I was thinking, I'll bet you the ask is 8 for 400. If I had to guess, that's the ask. 8 for 400.
That would not surprise me. That would not surprise. Would you do that? That's the bigger question. Would you do that? $50 million a year, Sean. 50.
If I had unlimited resources, absolutely would I.
Yes, you don't.
I don't. Would Christopher Ilitch? No, he won't. You know he won't. I know he.
But if you were Christopher Ilitch, not if you're the Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs, Phillies, Padres, if you're Christopher Ilitch, would you do it? 8 for 400. No. Neither would I. That's unpopular. It's unpopular. I understand that. I would not do it.
And listen, but I've kind of already accepted the fact that if they find a way to win, it's not going to be with one of the higher salaries either. You know, I mean, I've kind of accepted that. I'd love to be surprised. Maybe I'll be surprised. I don't know.
Well, if you're going to be surprised, you're going to have to be surprised at the other end, I think.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be surprised by Skubal's willingness to take 8 years, 325. Okay. Right. When many people think you can get a lot more than that, but that might be the situation. You know what I mean? And look, all these people, they have to recognize, the owners and the front office have to recognize, and I know that they already know this, but it wasn't long ago. Look what Dallas went through when they traded Luka Doncic. Okay. The blowback from what you get stays with you. You have to keep that in mind. I'm not saying you do what's best for the fan base. I'm telling you, you have to recognize that long-term, how people view you, unless you're able to recover quickly from something like that.
A couple guys brought up, including Todd, Montero had a complete game last year. I have zero recollection of that. I got to be honest with you.
I had no idea. But thank you for that knowledge, because there's no way I would have guessed that. Absolutely no way.
Do you think the Ilitch family owning the Tigers and Red Wings put them at a disadvantage in competing? No, I don't.
Nor do I.
Hey, did you know that thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy Partners to get help with their home and auto insurance? Our friends at Legacy are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents. They provide a full-service, one-stop solution for all your insurance needs, personal and business, large and small. They did it for us. Honestly, Alex, great guy, asked for Alex. He took care of my family. One call to Alex. Boom, 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 boom. And you know how Legacy does it? They help our listeners, like my family, by fixing mistakes other agents have made, asking the right questions to get the right coverage put in place, and help save you some money. Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies in the last year, you're probably paying too much and you could be underinsured. What are you waiting for? Give Legacy a chance to help with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, or your business insurance needs. Call them today, 586-209-4106, or visit legacypartnersins.com to get started with your new quotes. Nick said, Bizarro World, we are loving the Fords and now getting irked with the Ilitches. Shep, that's a factual statement. I think that's a factual statement, isn't it?
How are you going to argue with that, Sean?
Yeah, no, I can't. Eric, we are never going to do a wrestling show. You could. If I went back,
I can't. Sean might be able to. I can't.
If I went back and counted how many times you asked that in the last 10 minutes, I'll bet you the number is probably 20. I am never going to do a wrestling show because for me, puberty hit around 1985. So like once I hit puberty, I was kind of done with it.
I never got into that, Sean. Never.
Sorry.
Even
as a teen, you didn't get into it?
Never.
No, really? I did.
Yeah,
I did.
I couldn't go there. I don't know why. I just couldn't go there. Somebody said JV has 26 complete games. Yeah, 23 I believe is a Tiger. So 26 overall. Great catch on the Kiter Montero last year. I did not even remember that guy. Went 6-6.
No idea.
He had a complete game. Who would have thought, if I'd have put fork to nose, that Montero had a complete game before Tarik Skubal? There's no way on earth I would have
never in a million years. No, I was into it at one point in time, Shep. I was, and then I'm just not anymore.
I don't know how that happened. That shocks me. Now I will say this. Did you ever go to one?
Yes.
So did I.
Yes, I did. Yes, I
Believe
did.
it or not, I did.
I watched The Undertaker beat Hulk Hogan.
Oh, you did?
And kids were devastated.
Was it at the Silverdome?
It was at Joe Louis. It was
Oh.
Joe Louis. Kids were devastated, and my buddies and I were. It was post puberty, like 20, I think. We were obliterated, hammered, and these kids were devastated because the Real American lost to the Undertaker, and it was pretty cool and mature of us. We were taunting 10-year-olds. That was pretty cool. Yeah, Undertaker. Their hero just got defeated. Yeah, in your face, Jimmy. Pretty
Have a
cool.
beer.
Yeah, really good guys. Henry said, I'll keep saying it. The Tigers need to sign Skubal as soon as they can because the price is only going to go up the longer we wait to sign him. I think we're already at that point.
The problem with that, Henry, is I don't think the Tigers disagree with you. It takes two to get it done.
Sure.
I think it's really important, Henry, to look at it from Scott Boris's standpoint. Scott Boris is going to have, look, this is conjecture here. I'm projecting. He's going to have a guy who's going to win the Cy Young perhaps again. Okay, at least he's the front runner in the American League. So 2 Cy Youngs, and he's going to be a year away from free agency. Wouldn't you tell your client to wait? I would.
Yep. Eric said, name 3 wrestlers other than the obvious. Don't insult me like that. Rick, the Model, Martel, Roddy Piper, and Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Get out of here. Not one more wrestling reference from you. Hey, when it comes time to get yourself a house, whether you're buying, selling, or both, you need to contact the right agent. Who do we recommend? That lady right there, Lindsay Broadwell. Your house is probably the biggest investment you'll ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsay grew up on the mean streets of Northville. She's expanded her team all over southeastern Michigan, an expert in all facets of the business. So when it comes time to move, our friend Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and everything goes smoothly when finding your new home. Buyer, seller, even first-time buyers, make sure you contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She will help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. Shep, before we get out of here, what wrestling match were you at? Did you have to cover it? Like, did somebody tell you to cover it, or did you actually go?
Yeah, I was actually working in advertising at the time, and one of our clients was, I believe it was WWE. So we had to go to I think it was at the Palace.
All right.
I want to say it was at the Palace to watch the event. And I'm not going to lie to you. I could not get out of there fast enough. I just couldn't. I literally looked around and I said to myself, what am I doing here? But that went with the job. So that's the one thing I did do. I couldn't tell you one guy who was on the card. Sean, I have no idea. I just remember having to go to it. I'm like, wow, that might be the first and last time I'll ever do it.
Before we get out of here, Todd, you can put that graphic up. What if I gave you 2 pit passes to the Baligian 5 double odd? And we put all the socks in the dryer and watch the socks go around in a circle, paint little numbers on them. And the one to come out, he the winner. Would you like that? I'll charge you I'll buy a case of beer, for $18 and sell the beers for $10 and just cram everybody in my laundry room. Look at that. Look at the red one. Be the
Who's taking bets?
The Baligian 5 double out. You in? Yeah, ML Curley. I do remember ML Curley, Nick.
Let's do it July 4th weekend.
Yeah, right. Come on, fellas. All right, Shep.
See you, buddy. Thanks, Todd.
Todd. Todd, we'll do Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, buddy?
Eric,
all right,
thank you for that. We appreciate it. Sean is not normal, but we wouldn't want him any other way. Have a great day, everybody.
All right.
Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.